Plenty of things to do today, but bought a horse trailer. I got to figure out where to park it, and it's starting to rain. Nice.
That's bad.
Alright, got the trailer parked out back. It rained pretty hard that entire day. It's now the next day, and we're working on this G-body Cutlass here. I know this ain't everybody's cup of tea, but we're putting the Lord's motor in it. Pulled out a 3 point who gives a heck V6 and 204R, and we're putting in a nifty little 53460 stock deal. Was hoping that everything would kind of bolt right back in place. Luckily for me, that is not working out. So ripped the cross member out of it, which is alright because this thing had a hole rusted in it anyway. You can see all the dead weight that came out. And just got done earlier throwing this bad boy together. Man, this bench gets out of hand so fast. Because I'll just cut something, leave the scraps there, take care of what I'm doing. Anyway, yeah, whipped up this bad boy. This is my first time using a tube to mount the transmission. I kind of like it. I was trying to do it without cutting any big sections off. That's why this one's welded together. Plenty strong enough. Yeah, I kind of like this idea. Because I was going to do some, I've got some 2x3 tube there that I was going to use. But I was like, well, once I like cut it in half and everything, it has to stick out about, I don't know, what's that, like 8-9 inches, wink wink. It'll be pretty flimsy. So I was like, let me use some tube, same diameter as this, so I can leave it intact. Just slash cut the end to get the nut in there. I am going to flatten this a little bit more, or I guess a little bit at all. But yeah, should work out great. I might have a little bit of paint I can throw on it before I toss it up in the car. So I have learned to start at the ass and work your way to the face. So we got transmission lined up here. Don't worry about how crooked it is. That's the engine sitting on the cradle, but that'll be fine. So we got this as centered can be, and then I can get that bolted up, and that will be like our pivot point to get the engine exactly where it needs to be, the right angle and everything. And then we should be Gucci. And then once I got the motor mounts made, which is all I'm hoping to do tonight, because this has been I was hoping to get the engine and transmission mounted today and then spend the rest of the week doing like the wiring, the fuel system, which is just a basic setup, stock pump, or stock tank, I mean, and just putting, well, it's not going to be an inline pump. An inline pump's what I used on the Skylark, nice and simple, just basically spliced it inline, blah, 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 ran it up there. This is probably going to be an in-tank deal, if I can make it work. This is actually the old 525 off of the Dime a Dozen S10, so we'll see. We'll just see. I don't know what this stuff is. Oops. Dicked that up. Obviously, Holley Terminator X, because that is currently, I think, one of the easiest systems to work with on the market. I am very interested in how the gold light box works. I'm thinking about getting that and throwing it on the Camaro, because I don't really want to use the stock ECU on this for very long. I mean, I will, but like, it would be nice to have some sort of boost on this thing, and I don't like using the stock ECU for that. And those gold light boxes are 650 bucks. So it'd be cool to run this thing on Mega Squirt, you know? Let's see, what else do we have going on? Yesterday, we pulled the converter out of jack and sent it back to Circle D to have them restall it, because it's just, that converter was initially built for the big block. We never changed it. And it was just way too tight for that tiny little baby 5.3 and that pretty big turbo. So it, even on the trans brake with the two-step set at like 4,000, it would get up to 3,000, then just kind of hover there until it started to spool the turbo, and then it would get to like 33, 34 maybe. So yeah, we sent it back to them, told them, look, give us a 10,000 RPM stall converter. So yeah, I'm gonna throw this trans mount in the car and then try to rig up some goddamn motor mounts, because the ones that were sent with this car aren't too happy. Little flop there. What I'll probably end up doing is cutting some pieces of that 2x3 and using those as pedestals off of the frame. That's what I'll probably end up doing. So I'm gonna mess around with this and I'll see what I can come up with. All right, got the motor mounts kind of tacked in place, taking some angle measurements. Everything seems pretty darn good. I just try to ballpark it. On something like this, it's not super crucial. I know some people are gonna disagree with that, but whatever, man. And then straight up and down, trying to favor the passenger side the way these were stock. That way you got more room for the footboard and the steering and all that crap. I did have the header on to make sure that was going to clear. Took it off to get the motor mount in place because these shorties kind of get in the way. And that thing was hot. I didn't want to burn my fingers. So I am going to call it here, and we'll see what we can get done tomorrow. All right, next day, got the motor mounts welded in. Starting on the wiring a little bit, because Pops is coming to pick me up. We're going to run down to Harbor Freight and grab some of those super expensive and highly valuable tools. But yeah, I initially wanted to put the ECU down here where the charcoal canister used to be. The wiring for the 4L60 wouldn't reach, so then I was like, crap, that kind of ruins that plan, because that would have tucked nicely out of the way there. So I just decided I'll make this quick little bracket here, and we'll put the ECU there. Not really a huge deal. I mean, this thing's kind of crowded with a lot of the stock stuff anyway, so it's not going to be a major eyesore. I mean, there's like looms of wire still taped up there, so once it's all done and zip tied a little bit nicer, it should be not too terrible. Wiring for the transmission reaches. The wiring for the engine is a lot happier. Running it around like this, the coil pack wiring just, it would have been so close. Running it like this, it's a lot more kosher. So I can set the battery in place and run, well, I can cut this down like crazy. And my very first thought with the ECU, to get back to that, was what I like to do is drill a hole in the firewall right behind the intake. That way everything's nice and kind of tucked in there. Same way I did it on the Skylark back there. Old girl. But the inside of this is just, there was nowhere to put anything. And I am not into tearing all this apart, because the heater box, I'm pretty sure, comes all the way to about here, give or take. So yeah, I didn't want to, I was like, I don't want to touch anything in here. In here's Gucci. We're not touching it. So we'll put it there, tidy this up as best we can once everything's ran, and call it a day. There's basically the green wire for the fuel pump there that will run back. It's not going to be under a whole lot of stress, so we can probably get away with just using that as the trigger for the fuel pump, not have to do a relay. There's a red power wire that has to go straight to the battery. There's this one that goes straight to the battery. This is a ground. Both these have a switch power and ground. And I think that's all that's in this one. Yeah, just those two wires. Switch power, ground, switch power, 12 volt, and basically a brake light switch, so that when you hit the brakes, it gives the ECU signal that it unlocks the torque converter. Anyway, Pops is going to be here any second. We're going to run to Harbor Freight, and I'll just get back here and start knocking some stuff out on it some more. All right, it is a few days later. I am not feeling too great, so I haven't done much the last couple days. Got most of the wiring ran. I got the wires hooked up to the distributor wire to give switched power to the ECU. Pretty much the only thing I have left to do is wire up the fuel pump. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing left to do. The only things left to do on the complete car: front accessories. The stock truck bracket hits the gearbox. Not very great, so I got to figure out something for that. We just have some high pressure line that we're going to run to the rail. Inline fuel pump back by the tank. Corvette style filter regulator on the rail. Yeah, got that just about done. Need to find some Moltec injectors. Just going to run some stock ones. Not trying to make any power with this thing. Completely stock 5.3. So that is where we're at with this. Now initially for doing this, I was getting some cash and a Blazer roller. Like an S10 square body Blazer roller. But I was over there looking at it, and I was like, man, it's a cool Blazer, don't get me wrong. It'd be fun to put together, but I've got so many cars that I need to get done. We got the Fiero. We've got a little bit left to do on the Skylark, and just need basically just the lights and stuff. I mean, that thing, I've already put a bunch of miles on it. We got the 55. I got to figure out something with the transmission in the Camaro here, which reminds me that hasn't been talked about at all. Filled it up with fluid, got all that ready, put it in gear, wouldn't move at all. So I don't know if it was too light on fluid still, because it was basically empty, so I might have not put enough in it, or if this transmission is just junk, which is possible. And then I have the internal conflict of, if we pull the 4L60 out, do I really want to put a 4L60 back in it? A 350 would like bolt in place, but we'd need a longer drive shaft and a shifter. A 400 would be the right length for the drive shaft, but we need a different yoke and modify the crossmember and a shifter. So this has just been kind of sitting here the last couple weeks while trying to figure out what to do with it. The Chevelle, we moved closer to the garage of my dad's. He's been sanding on it a little bit here and there. It doesn't really need a whole lot of body work, so hopefully in the next few weeks maybe we can get that thing painted and get it in color. That'd be cool. And then the plan for now is still to put the 406 here in it. I got the carb wrapped up there. Plan still to put that in it. And I got a manual valve body turbo 350 over here. I probably will go through before putting it in the car. This is the one that was in the big block Fox body that I had. They said it wasn't going into second gear, and then he ended up trading that car off for a Chevelle, which was a sick deal for him. So I'll probably go through that before throwing it in the car just to make sure. Which the 55, the last couple of weeks I've been crazy anxious to get back to work on this thing. I was this close to ordering a ladder bar kit for it last night and just saying, screw everything else. I want this thing to be done. Yeah, you can see the wheels that I picked up. Oh, that's where I was going initially with that. So the initial deal with the Cutlass LS swap was I was getting some cash and that Blazer roller. Went over there, decided that I've got enough cars on my plate for right now that I said, let's do the cash, that turbo 350 in converter, and these wheels. That way I can get some other stuff done without any money or anything coming out of my pocket. So these are Ford bolt pattern, 5x4.5. So they'll bolt right onto the 8.8 that I have over here, right down there. Hopefully, if my measurements are correct, this should fit underneath the body pretty good with about 1.5 inches on each side to the fender. Because the wheels that are on the car now, these old center lines, I think they're center lines, could be a Craig or Smoothie or something. Outside of tire to outside of tire is about 70.5 or 71, something like that. And I'm pretty sure with these on the shortened 8.8 will be about 67, maybe 68. And then we can get this thing up and running, which I'm friggin' so stoked for, because this is my favorite car in the whole world. Once everything is done, odds are I'm gonna sell the Fiero, gonna sell the Camaro, gonna sell the Skylark, and I'll probably just have the Chevelle and the 55, and maybe the Opel, because that'll be like the actual drag car. That if I put it into a wall, I don't really care. The Chevelle and the 55, I would cry. But I am sounding worse by the syllable, so I'm probably going to end it here and go take some drugs and chill out for a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video for, I don't even remember what all I filmed. I think it was just stuff with this. Is what is. Hopefully soon we can start doing stuff with Jack. We pulled Jack apart, sent the converter back to get restalled. Hopefully this week that shows back up, and we can take him out and try and run some 9s with it. We'll see. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, clicking that bell to get the notifications. I'll see you next time.